So I apologize if my I feel a little bit sardonic. I'm not even sure what that means, sardonic. Let's make sure that's the right word. And grimly mocking or cynical? Maybe. What's cynical mean? Let's just be precise with our words. Believing that people are motivated by self-interest, distrustful of human sincerity or integrity, concerned only with one's own interests, typically disregarding. That's not quite so much me, but I am feeling a little bit burned out just because I've had a tremendous amount on my plate for a fair amount of time, and to want to make forward progress, but then feel yourself pushed back by the currents, so I generally am a pretty optimistic, hardworking, enthusiastic, choose the positive type of person, and work for the greater common good, which is why we called our company Greater Commons. But just like the last couple of days, I've been a little bit burned out. So sorry this is your first impression of me, but just know that you're like kind of catching me on an Anthony Bourdain week or something. I've got a little bit of the Anthony Bourdain running in me. I don't know if that's the right way to characterize him, but just a little bit of like, are you kidding me? So we're going to talk about the role of different languages. We're learning about HTML and CSS. And so HTML is the structure of a web page, and CSS is the formatting, and JavaScript is the functionality. And so that's what the three different languages do. And so an important concept here is, and I'll put this as the languages, an important concept here is separation of concerns. And so in programming, we want to separate our concerns, and that just kind of keeps things well organized. And in the history of programming back in the day, all the stuff was like in one file, and it was a big mess. And so through the evolution of programming languages, we've gone through, structured programming, object-oriented programming, still very popular. But there's this idea of like, let's modularize and put things into different concerns. And so we create the structure of our web page with HTML, and then we format our web page with CSS, and then we add functionality to our web page with JavaScript. So when you look at a web page and like enter your password, now enter it again to make sure you entered the right one when you're or you enter your email and enter it again. JavaScript will compare those two and tell you if they're the same or not. And so you don't have to talk to the server, right? You don't have to talk to the server to get the information. And so the next thing we'll look at is history of the web. We'll see that next. And in the history of the web, we'll sort of talk about the role of HTML and CSS and JavaScript and where they came from. So the web started and when it started and who started it, and then why why they started it, and we'll look at the difference between the internet versus the World Wide Web. And then the next one we'll kind of look at like how the web works and just the basics about clients and servers. So we'll look at that in the next video. And so we're just kind of laying the foundation. I know some of you have had like CIT 82, right? And you learned about this stuff already. How many people are in that boat? Let me see your hands. 3 people, sweet. So we'll just do a little bit of a review of that, and then after that we'll look at we'll create our we'll create our first web page, and then we'll give you something to work on, and then we'll format our first web page. Okay, that's the game plan. Anybody have questions?